We have broken away from regular programming. An apparent attack on the World Trade Center in New York.
The World Trade Center, tower number 1 is on fire.
I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. Tell my children that I love them very much.
Another plane hit the second tower.
I'm gonna die. Live, say your prayers.
Today we've had a national tragedy.
United 93, do you still hear Cleveland?
The second building just crumbled.
Oh my God.
There are no planes taking off in the entire country.
Do we want to think about scrambling aircraft?
September 11th, 2001.
Oh, God, I don't know.
I remember most Carlene Johnson, who was working down the hallway at a different radio station. She was a news anchor for one of the other talk stations up in Seattle, and we had a little door, or we had a little window in our door, and her face appeared in that little window, and she was pointing above me to the TV that was over my shoulder. And when I turned and looked at the TV behind me, you could see that now iconic shot of smoke coming out of one of the World Trade Centers. And I pointed it out to the host at the time, and we started talking about it and thought, man, that's weird. How does that happen? That's such a weird accident. Because everybody at that point thought it was just one small plane into the World Trade Center. And then as we're watching it, we clearly saw the second plane go into the second building. And it was at that moment that everybody kind of made that realization, like, this is not an accident. And if this can happen, then I don't think anybody in the country felt very safe for probably a few hours after that.
Yeah, I remember my mom calling me. I was sleeping, and she says, honey, turn on the television. I know you're working in news. It was actually the first breaking news story where, you call in the newsroom and you say, what do you need me to do? It was the first time that happened for me. And I remember walking out into the living room. I was in college, and my 2 roommates, who were very loud and crazy people, were just staring at the TV at that image. And we all sat there for hours just in shock, and I remember, Gary and I were just talking about this yesterday. We were kind of going through some of the old footage, and as soon as you look at that footage from that morning, there's this sense of anxiety because we didn't know what was going to happen next. We didn't know what the other targets were going to be. Of course, as the day went on, we found out, but yeah, that's what I remember. It's just like the feeling of anxiety.
The feeling like, well, what does the next 2 weeks look like for the country? What does the next month look like for the rest of the world? And how is it that I can make sure that my family is going to be safe? Because I had a 1-year-old at the time. At the very end of the day, when I finally was able to go home from the radio station, sat down, no radio, no TV, nothing, and just sat there, very quiet, normal dinner with I guess you could call it, with a 1-year-old, but constantly running through the questions like, am I going to have to enlist in the military? Am I going to have to leave my family? Is this something that's going to change the way that we live the rest of our lives?
I remember I wanted to do something. Like Gary was talking about, what is this going to mean for him going forward? I felt that day that I wanted to do something, which is why, calling the newsroom, what can I do? What can I do? And we're wanting to go to class, to see everyone, to talk to everyone, because you have this sense of wanting to connect when something like that happens. And all the classes were shut down for the day. So
if I had one regret about the 15 years since then, is that we've all become a little bit more complacent and sort of back to our normal lives.
Yeah, and we've turned on each other. We used to be like all in it together. It helps to share a common enemy. So we need to...